Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. Very, very thrilled to be talking to Mar Morabito. What a name. That says to me in lights, you are a woman here on a mission and you are based in Naples, Florida. And Mar, I just want to say a big, huge thank you and welcome to the show.
You. Honored to be here, Pete.
Yeah, we've just been having a little bit of a chat pre-show and wow, I can't wait to get into this conversation with you. You're an author, you're an executive coach to CEOs and high net worth leaders. You started your business back in 2014. It sounds like you've had quite the different journey, be that you owned a digital agency, had other ventures as well, but this is where your heart and passion is at and the impact you're making in the world. You've recently released a book, October the 2nd, actually. So only you got your stuff over a month ago. Yeah, I do want to
Yeah.
see a copy of the book that
Yeah.
Survival to Serenity. I can never say it
Yeah,
clearly.
it's okay. Yeah, it still gets me sometimes. Sovereignty.
Sovereignty, that's right. As soon as you say it and then I hear it again, I get it right. But
It's just ownership of ourselves.
oh no, totally right. Yeah. And it's you're known for the seven rhythms of serenity and the book Survival to Serenity. And I'm still not saying it right, but you'll explain
It's
it.
okay.
And it's the seven rhythms to heal your body, rewire your mind, and live in deep alignment, that interconnection, that whole, as I see it. You help leaders turn physiology, mindset, and rituals into a durable performance system. And when you answered my question around what's one unique insight or lived experience when it comes to life leadership and or business, you said you wanted to discuss the book and offer listeners access to your book and inner circle, which is such a, kind thing to do. So tell us about your journey. Yeah, I've got so many questions, but I just want to hear it from you. The book,
Yeah, so
everything.
um, I mean, I guess it's probably the same journey, like essentially that we were discussing that you went on. When you're someone who is a high performer, you go all in. And I was a workaholic. I went all in and found myself in ICU. And it was in that ICU bed that I realized, wow, I can't write a check to get out of here. Like, no amount of money in the world will buy me my health. And I just remember telling my sister, I kept saying, "Give me my checkbook." And she's like, your checkbook for what? I said, "I got to get out of here." She's like, "You can't leave." I was just delusional because I had a traumatic brain injury. So my whole left hemisphere was completely full of blood. And come to find out, I was attacked. I was tasered or stun gunned. So I was just, my whole left eye was out of its socket. I was completely
Oh my gosh.
just in a different dimension. I mean, it was by the grace of God that I survived that, let alone made it into ICU. But I remember saying that, and she's like, you can't buy your health. I'm like, oh, you're right, I can't. And it was just this awakening moment of, oh my gosh, all this hard work, everything I've done, it means nothing. It means nothing. I don't even know how I'm in here. And every day, the doctor would come in, and I didn't know this till afterwards, but my family said that they would ask me to write something down on a piece of paper. And every single day I wrote, Marissa Morabito is going home without fail every day. And then on day 10, I literally checked myself out of ICU and I left. And I talk about this in the book because, it was in that moment that I realized the power of a made up mind.
Mm.
I had made my mind up in that delusion that I was leaving. And I literally, against medical advice, checked myself out and just devoted my life to healing. And I remember when I got home, I was just on the computer because I was always involved in business and just someone who was resourceful at finding solutions. And I was like, I got to figure out how to heal. I was on so many drugs that I remember saying to my family at one point, I'm just so grateful that you love me, because if you didn't, you could kill me and I wouldn't know the difference. And I just remember finally getting off some of the pain meds and just being on like Tylenol. And I'm like, I have to do it. I had to learn how to rewalk, how to shower, how to do it all. And I just devoted myself to healing. But I remember just wishing for a book or something that would guide me so I could just put everything like the puzzle back together. So that's what I created with this book, meaning like I wish I knew this stuff prior. I wish I knew that it was important to get sleep and rest and that I couldn't sacrifice that because I had a deadline, that that was the foundation of leadership for me. Sleep. It wasn't even, it was more important than the movement or the exercise or anything. And then I wish I knew that fasting was a trump card that allows your brain to use ketones and that just gives you an advantage against basically
So true.
everything,
Yeah.
including the enemy, because that's the first, I talk about it also in the book. I didn't know this at the time, but as I was learning this stuff, it's the first temptation. So I became very spiritual. I didn't always love God because of my sexuality and all of that. I was told I'd go to hell, but then I got to the bottom of it and we're all sinners. So it doesn't matter. And he loves us. And he met me in that hospital with unconditional love. And then I learned stillness and prayer and meditation. That's a rhythm. And it's about an invisible friend and relationship. And it doesn't matter how you what you say or prayer or religion or it's a friend. Talk to them and then be still to listen. And so prayer is my way of communicating to him, but meditation is my way to listen to what he says. So I created these 7 rhythms that healed me. And that's what I talk about in the book. How to implement these rhythms. And I say, this isn't my path for you to copy. This is your path for you to create, meaning we're all different. I might thrive on a plant-based diet and that's what works for me, but it's not going to work for everyone, right? You got to find your path. So that's really it in a nutshell. I just poured my soul into this, what I call like a soul and field manual, especially really for everyday people, but for the people that are ready to take the masks off, hence the hair. This was the last step for me because I've done the internal work. So the externals, they just don't matter. I don't have to have, and I did have a lot of hair, believe it or not,
Yeah, I was
at
about
the
to say,
time.
was it long or was it like I've always
It was bigger than yours. I'm talking Italian and curly. And believe it or not, when my sister, because I called her for help saying I needed help when I finally woke up in the woods and my lab was on me and she touched my head because I didn't know I was bleeding. When she pulled her hand out, it was just like full of blood. Like that's how thick my hair was. And yeah, it's been such a journey and such a ride. But throughout it all, it's been a discovery of my truth and just removing like all of the impurities and veils and masks and ego and just residing in like authentic self. And that's really what sovereignty is. It's being in complete ownership of yourself. So I went from surviving in life to being sovereign, where I am in complete ownership of my being. And I just want to teach everyone to do the same for themselves, the way that it would work for them.
Oh gosh, I so love all of this. It's so like giving me goosebumps and tingles
Oh,
because I so relate, like in terms of obviously not in terms of what happened to you, and I'm truly sorry that you had to experience
it's
that.
okay. It was the
But
best thing that happened to me,
yeah,
honestly. No,
I truly believe that these forms of adversity, they don't happen to everybody, but they happen it's almost like, whether it's God or, I call it the universe. But
yeah,
when you're not listening and you're in that survival mode and you cannot see the wood for the trees and deep down you want to get out of it. You just have no way, you have no idea or
right.
know how to. And it comes back to this book and, your soul field guide. I don't know. Sometimes it's always happened to me. The universe has always done something physically to me to basically go slap, here you go. Like this
Right.
is, and when are you going to listen? And then something fundamentally happens to you, fundamental, I should say, happens. And then it's like, you can't get yourself out of hospital. You can't buy your health. Like you
I
have
was the
to,
worst listener.
yeah.
I
I was
had to
the
be brought
worst.
to my knees.
Yeah, I was the worst listener too. And there's still times now where I have my little slip ups because, and I love your thoughts on this because, quite sometimes we drop back into survival mode, but it's how you have the tools, the techniques, the 7, kind of rhythms to get yourself back out of it and know that and be aware of, oh, hang on a second, I'm not in, I'm
Yeah,
disconnecting, and how do I reconnect
yeah,
back with
exactly. We're human, we're not perfect.
yeah, we're not perfect. Like you said, we're all sinners. Like no one's
Yeah.
like, it's like, so let's just accept that.
Yeah.
Because I think that is, yeah, it's that ability to then, well, what are you going to do with it? You have a choice, don't you? You have a choice whether you sit and wallow in what actually happened to you, or you choose to go, all right, I need to look at myself. I need to sort it all out and then go back out into the big wide world to then help others. Is that kind of your own
Yeah.
journey
I
went?
think it was, yeah, I think it for me, it was like really looking in that accountability mirror and saying, okay, who are you? And are you doing what needs to be done to be the person that you need to become in order to have the life that you want to hold? And I think that's really where it got interesting for me because, sure, I was successful on paper, everything looked good, but inside I hadn't really faced myself. I hadn't really gotten to the root core of who I was. And I think that it takes time and it takes real awareness and it takes building trust with yourself in order to get to the point where the externals don't matter. So it really just became a period where I had to put the work in. I had to just listen to my consciousness and answer and build that trust with myself. So it sounds kind of crazy, but I always, it's like for me, I kind of live a life of like a monk where I don't really require humans. And people are like, and I have, friends and all of that, but I don't like require the social interaction. And it's just because I've learned how to just build a relationship with myself and my creator. And I do have a little toy poodle, which
Oh, I've got a
she,
little, yeah, I've got a hill. He's turning two. He's outside at the moment.
oh,
He's cracked it because he hasn't had his play in the park yet. He's been for a little
oh,
walk.
how funny. I pooped her out already. Yeah. But it's nighttime here. So, um, and DOG for me. But and that's a whole nother story because you have to think I had a lab when this accident happened, 78 pounds, highly trained. So we were in the woods, he was off leash, whatever happened, he ended up saving my life, literally. And then I woke up to him on the ground on top of me, licking my face, and I just came to life because I had been knocked out. And that's when I came to life. So losing him, how do you lose something that saved your life, literally? That was the hardest thing for me. And then that's when the relationship for me with God started. And then he became my best friend. And I never really wanted another one, but I ended up getting Pearly. And the relationship I have with her, I mean, she's a toy poodle, but she she acts like a big dog, and it's just the most magnificent relationship. But um, I'm not sure where I was really going with that. But I guess like when
You
it
know,
comes to
yeah, where I feel like you were going with this, and this is me and my intuition. It's like people come into your world for a reason, whether it's a human, whether it's a dog or whatever. But like dogs have souls, So the fact that you lost, you went through what you went through, you lost your soulmate, if you like, and someone who saved your life.
you got it,
But then someone else comes in reincarnated, and they're almost like the next person.
evolution.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah,
what I wanted to talk about was and I don't think we talk about it enough. And given that you work with CEOs and etc., is this whole ability to what I struggled the most with when I went through my identity. I shouldn't call it a crisis because but
calibration, right? It's a recalibration.
recalibration, let's use that, right? But when I was going through
Yeah,
my identity recalibration, and I'm out the other side, but I'm still working on myself. You're always working on yourself, right?
always.
The hardest part for me was that attachment to external and the attachment to success, my ego, and yet my ego and that attachment wasn't fulfilling me on the inside, but yet there was this, it was like the amygdala in me, the brain, the back bit of the brain was still chasing it and still, and really like 3 years later, since, I've had my transition and change and quite a few life experiences have happened that have put me on the trajectory of where I'm heading and going. that was the biggest hardest part for me. And it's really only this year in particular where I'm like, okay, I get you now. I get you. I get ego. I see it. I see it almost sitting out here and when it's playing up and it's kind of, if I go on to, LinkedIn or whatever and I'm seeing all these different people doing things, I'm like, why aren't I there yet? Or why are they doing this? And why am I still going through my own journey? And then I go, well, no, there's a reason I'm still going through my own journey. And I can't even compare myself. Whereas once upon a time, it would have been like, okay, I've got to work harder. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Whereas now it's almost like, I retreat, I go back inside to understand
That's
what is still not that I have still not worked through yet.
it.
I go
A
more
hundred
silent.
percent.
So back to you being a monk, saying about the monk, I go back in and it's almost like, yeah, sorry, I interrupted you then.
A
Just
hundred per no, you didn't. 100%. You're spot on. What you're saying is spot on, and that's the problem right there. But you're building that trust with yourself internally, and once that clicks, and then you really slay that old self. And I have a chapter in the book. It's slaying your old self. It's killing off the ego, and that's sure, hair, great. It's an accessory, but when you're internally validated, the externals don't matter. And trust me, I when it comes to external things, I have had it all, loved it all. I had to have the best of the best, all of it. But I got to the point now where I live a super simple life, so simple. And it just doesn't matter. What matters to me is handling my non-negotiables every day and showing up for myself and holding my word to myself every day. So at the end, when I look in that mirror, I can say, job well done, Mar. Now let's get tomorrow. And that's how I live my life now. And it doesn't matter about this, that, or the other. It's about the non-negotiables and the things that I've set out that I told myself I'm going to do, making sure that I hold that word to myself. Because if I can't trust me, I'm not going to be trustworthy with anyone else. And that's the misconception that people don't get. It's like, you weren't upset that so and so did that. It's like, no, I didn't expect them to do. I don't have expectations of people. The only thing I have an expectation for is me. And I'm not going to surely expect something from someone that I know can't even hold their word to themselves. It's insanity. And
yeah.
it's thing to be, you know what I mean? I'm always there for people. But I just can see through the lines just because I've worn all the masks with myself. So
So the type of, because you work with, high net worth leaders and CEOs and you do see through it all. Like once you've had like been through it all, you see through it all.
you,
You see through the
you
ones
can't,
that
you can't,
they're
yeah,
it's so surface and you can call it. And some
yeah.
some are some are happy to be called on it, but others aren't ready. And you can't force anyone and you can't push anyone to be ready. They've got to be ready to
Right.
do the deep work. What do you see the most when with and obviously, you can't I'm not asking you to give away secrets, but like broadly, what do you see the most in the world we're in right now, which is extremely rapidly changing. It's never been faster than ever. I said to you at the start before we got on the show, like it's been a big week, and you said hopefully it's been a good week, and I loved that because it sort of made me go, oh yeah, like you framed that as a positive, not a
And
negative.
that's the reframing, right? I had to learn how to reframe all my thoughts because I was a negative human.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are you seeing? Like, are you seeing more and more survival? But there's this survival, but there's also this desire to to I guess be more serenity. I'm just going to use that word versus you can say it again. But like, are you seeing more of that from CEOs that they're at their wits' end and they just don't know what to do, and hence why you've got this book and you're helping them. What are you seeing as the biggest challenges or fears that they're facing right now?
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are really just in a delusional frame of mind where they're so caught up in their life that they want out, but they're not sure where to start, where to begin. Like they've lost touch with their physical body. And then, when that happens, when your physical shell is not aligned, it's nearly impossible to function optimally. And it's not out of vanity, it's out of just science because when you are not feeding yourself and metabolically aligned with what you're consuming, your whole frequency changes. And I talk about that in here because it's about metabolic alignment when you eat. And I say this because I'm a vegan. I was actually after my brain injury, I was a raw vegan. So for 2 years, that's how I healed myself. I went completely raw. I was a fanatic. I didn't consume anything that was cooked, and I had to have a lot of calories because I was just burning so much from the healing. Um, but I say that because at the time it was like, oh, it's the best, raw, everyone should be a raw vegan, this, that, and the other. But as I progressed on my healing journey, I had to eat certain things, and it's about being intuitive and listening to your body because your body will tell you what it needs, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And it does. And what works for me is not necessarily what's going to work even for my sisters. They require different things, and it's about getting to know yourself on a cellular level so you can nourish your body. And I go into that on here because when you know how to properly optimize your body with what you're consuming, your whole frequency changes. And when that changes, everything then starts to align. So a lot of these people and leaders, they're just not aware of what they're putting in at all. And once they make that shift, like one of the people that I just took on a 90-day sprint, he was about I think he started like 236, very athletic build, nine-figure earner. In 3 months, it's not even been 3 months. I think we're on month 2 now. He's down to 198. He's like, Mar, it's not even about the weight. It's about the mental clarity. He said, my businesses are skyrocketing. He said, the people that I'm around, my relationships, everything has changed. Like my life is completely different. And he's like, I didn't even understand that this was possible just from losing weight. I'm like, I told you, it's not about vanity. It's not about abs. It's not about looking good naked. Sure, that's a bonus. I was like, but, you know, but at the end of the day, like it's about your clarity level. And when you learn how to fast, and it's a chapter in the book, Fasting and Time Restricted Eating, it's not about fasting to lose weight. It's fasting to let your body heal. And time restricted eating, meaning having a window where you consume and then there's no more. The kitchen's closed. Like I tell my little poodle, she'll look, I'm like, the kitchen's closed. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
it's
more
so
food.
true. It's so true. I mean, I'm severely gluten intolerant, and so
Oh, okay. You get
I
it?
I
Yeah.
get it. I've fasted for years in terms of it's no good for my stomach and my digestive system to be eating first
Right.
thing in the morning. So I wait till like I hold out till like 1 o'clock, and it's kind of funny.
Perfect.
Some people are like, "Do you eat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I eat," but it's like, it's
Yep.
getting the amount of time my body needs for that.
That's it. I figured you're nice and lean. You get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other part of this is, it's really interesting that you bring up the physiology and your body, and because as part of my burnout, and it was medically diagnosed, but and I couldn't get out of bed for the start of it. It was about the physical, like that was the first thing my doctor said, let's physically get your body back in order.
Yeah.
Because I had been treating it like a piece of shit basically forever. As much as I'm lean, I wasn't eating right. I wasn't, I was drinking far
It's
too
gut
much.
brain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the brain. I was running on empty fuel. And so got the physical, the body right, got the sleep, got all of that happening, rest, eating better, eating well, all of that. And then came the mind piece in terms of, all right, now let's get into the really, that was the rubber hit the road really, like in terms
Yeah.
of for me, like, because I was just like, this is where the big work's got to be done for me. Like I had so many patterns and things to work on. Do you see that? Like, is it for you? Is it like almost like physiology? Well, yeah, mindset, and then how you then ritualize and, implement the new behaviors and patterns, etc. Is that how you? Because I've always gone mind, body, soul, but I'm now going, it's actually body, mind, and then the interconnection of it all, the alignment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. As much as it's like I always say, you want a fit body, but you don't have a fit mind. you know? So it's an interconnection, but at the same time, you got to tackle the body, because if you don't tackle the body, it's hard to then tackle the mind because the clarity's not there.
Mm.
So it's not really tackling the body in the way that people think, like go to the gym and lift weights. No, it's like, I don't advise, like with him, it wasn't like go to the gym and start lifting. It was like, okay, we're going to tackle your diet. And okay, we're going to reduce your inflammation. And your body's going to learn to run on ketones. And your brain is going to start burning fat for fuel. And you're going to torch all of this off. And you're going to die to yourself. And it's really going to suck. And you're going to go to war. And I remember him texting me and he's like, this is all out war. I'm like, it is. But that's the 90-day sprint, because that's someone who's ready to go to war. Now, I have other programs too that are a little less intense, but that's someone who's willing to go all in. And when you go ketogenic, you're not going to feel good initially because you're cutting out all sugar, you're cutting out all carbs, and your body is now going to learn to burn fat for fuel, which is going to then allow your brain to start running on ketones. And when you hit that, oof, it's honestly, it's the cleanest fuel. And when you have that and you start to intermittent fast, and then if you want to bring in movement, you almost feel superhuman. And when you hit that point, it's like, wow, life becomes really fun, because you're just at such a vibration that you start attracting and magnetizing everything to you. And not everyone has to be ketogenic. I mean, you know, you can eat carbohydrates. It's not the end of the world. It's just, I say, if you're going to do it, be mindful of it, because it can
Yeah.
take you down the slippery slope. It's not that they're bad. High fibrous carbs, you know, those are, you need to feed your gut microbiome. So there's all of these levels to it. But initially, if someone is looking to make a drastic change, yeah, we want to tackle the body. And then the mind starts to reframe in that process, because no one's, if you're home in your kitchen, no one's, you know, I'm not there saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? You got to have the mental willpower to say, I better not eat this. I better stick to the plan. That's what I say. You always got, you stick to the program.
Yeah,
If
because
you
then
get
you're
off,
working on cognitive health, right? Like the cognitive health is so important, especially for CEOs, especially for leaders. Like, I'd be intrigued to ask you, what do you think and see as, if we think about this new world order that we're in and the revolution we're in with AI and everything else going on, what do you see as like the key traits, if you like, that is required of a CEO to not just survive, but to thrive?
accountability with themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
And that, for some reason, and I know it was a problem I had. I could hold everyone else accountable, but when it came to the things that I needed to do for Mar in order to be healthy within myself, it was hard to do until I didn't have a choice and had to rebuild.
yeah, yeah.
And I, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then you're like, well, I mean, I got to just figure this out, or what's my alternative?
yeah,
The back against the wall. And I think that's is the mentality of a high performer is, I might just wait till my back's against the wall to really face this, for a lot of them, you know?
yeah,
But
and
then there's some that have had it, and then they're like, all right, I know I need the accountability. I know I need to meet with you once a week. I need to have meetings with myself every day. And I know that I need to track this, and that you need to see me tracking this. And I know that I have to report to you. And then that helps people get the ball rolling. And then before you know it, they don't need as much accountability. And I say, you know, for people, that's why the 3 month sprint, it's like, this isn't babysitting. I'm not babysitting you. I'm just here to help you get rolling, and then you're gone.
yeah.
Set and settle, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
totally. Yeah,
and then
I also feel like accountability, absolutely. But everything we're talking about here and the ability to have the alignment of it all, right? I think that is so important. And then obviously that comes with accountability. So being accountable to continue to ensure that everything is interconnected versus disconnected. Because when it's disconnected, you're not holding yourself accountable. You're going rogue. You're doing whatever you want, but it's that
I think
ability.
having, yeah, and not to interrupt you, but like having, and that's why I reference the 7 rhythms, because it's a ecosystem
Yeah,
of optimization. it's not just one component, right? It's those 7 areas that we focus on because all of them matter. It's not just, again, what you put in your body. You might put great stuff in your body, but if you're not sleeping at night and you only have 3 hours, that's not going to work either because that's the foundation of leadership, sleep. That's going to allow you to lead yourself properly and without the proper sleep. So I require everyone to get a Whoop that I work with or some kind of biometric device because data doesn't lie.
No.
And I in the book, all of my stuff has been tracked with the Whoop. So it's not just, he say, she say, no, it's live data and experience that I'm talking about that I saw. And that's how you learn to develop your rhythms. So you use these 7 rhythms, but the way I use them is going to look different than the way B would use them based on your data.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
like, yeah, because like with the gluten intolerance, and I have that too, not probably like you do, but I just know it erodes my lining and I'll get like diverticulitis. But some people don't have that issue, but with the Whoop, it'll tell you like my recoveries, and I'm like, what did I consume? Because you journal everything. So that's what
Yeah.
helped me,
Yeah.
you know, figure it all out.
Yeah, I love it. Tell us, like, I'm conscious of your time and it is evening for you. Tell us quickly about your circle. You mentioned that you wanted to share a little bit about the circle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
the
just
inner
because
circle.
yeah, like when I coach people one-on-one, obviously it's just leaders, CEOs and founders, but with the book, what I did was there's a QR code in here because I wanted to have a book that also created like a workbook. So because you can't just read the book and then think, oh, this is no, you got to work the book. So
I love
with
that. Work the book.
the
I'm writing that
yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so the QR code then gives everyone who buys the book access to my inner circle. And the inner circle, which we're finishing it this week, it basically is like a little mini Whoop. So it allows you to track all your 7 rhythms, your hydration, your movement, your stillness, everything. It gives you direct communication to me. So it's basically like me coaching you, but not really the one-on-one. I go live in there. I have videos in there. It's basically just I pour my soul into this community so I can help the masses because it's, working with me is not cheap. So for someone who isn't a high performer, it really wouldn't work in their budget, but I still want to be able to help people and to help people implement these rhythms on their journey. So I didn't want to just create the book and say, okay, you're on your own. So this inner circle is for people who buy the book, or maybe people don't want to read the book and they just want to join and they can, and it's $79 a month. But I wanted to create something for you and for your audience, so we can talk about that because it's really not about the money for me. Like this is my life's work and I believe in like giving as much as I
Yeah,
can.
pay it
So
forward.
we'll
Yeah.
create something for your audience. Yeah.
I love it, Ma. What would be one, I'm just going to ask you a final question. I'm trying to work out what it would be. But back to high performance and CEOs and just this whole survival piece and that there is another way to live your life. What would
Yeah.
be one piece of advice that you would give a CEO, high performer that was completely at a crossroads? They hadn't had the adversity like you've faced, but they're at a point where they're just like they're getting up in the morning and they're like they just don't even want to face the day. What would be one piece of advice you would give them?
Well, I don't know about advice, but I'd ask them to ask themselves why. Why are they continuing at this pace? And they need to find that answer because that is going to determine how they move,
Yeah, I love
whether it's on that same path or making a change. Because at the end of the day, until someone's ready to change,
you can.
there's no changing. So
No,
I try to ask those hard questions that they're not willing to ask so we can get to the root before we do anything. Because for me, it took me being in that bed in order to know my why. So I'm just trying to save people getting to that point where they don't really have a choice and their back's against the wall. So I ask the hard questions that they're not willing to ask. So I guess I would say, do you know who you are if you took the business out of it? who are you? And if you stay in the business and you stay doing what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Such strong questions. And they're
I
such
know,
confronting questions. I love it because you're making me think as well, like even just like now going, Belinda, have you actually, like, and I know, but like, you know what I mean? You just have to, like, I
I
think it's
know. And that's what it, right? I
constant
know. Because
sense
it's like,
check.
it's a bonus round for me. I'm in a bonus round right now. That's how I view it. So
Yeah.
for me, I do it because I love it and it's my passion
Um,
and it gives me energy. So if it's
Yeah.
not given, and like with you, everything you're doing, it's giving you
This
energy,
podcast gives me so much energy. It's ridiculous.
right?
It's like,
So
oh,
you're on the path. This is your life. This is your calling. This is what you're meant to do. But if people aren't energized, they're not meant to do it anymore. They're going through the motions of life, and it's about them realizing it within themselves.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Ma, how do we find out more about you? Yeah, where do we find you?
So marmorabito.com, that's my website. And yeah, I'm at mar.morabito on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. You go to the website and you can find me everything right through there. And if anyone goes to the website from your podcast, just message me, let me know so we can make sure that they're taken care of.
Amazing. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. What a
thank you
privilege
so
and
much.
honor it's been to talk to you.
Same for
Yeah, I
you. Yeah.
cannot wait to read your book. Like, I wish,
I
and I
can't wait to send it to you. Yeah.
I wish I had have had that guide myself in terms of when you're going through it because there's just not enough of this out there. Like we can sugarcoat things and it's like when people say with burnout, oh, you'll be fixed in 4 weeks. It's
Yeah.
like it's a
Yeah.
full identity piece. There's so much that is, like burnout is just such a term or that there's so much unpacking to come out
So
of that.
much.
And so I love what you're doing and I love the impact you're making in this world because it is so required. It is so required for, you know, people like yourself, myself, other CEOs, high performers out there that just didn't have that guide to get them out of it sooner than they
Yeah.
did. Like, and then having to have the anyway, I could keep talking, but Ma, I'm gonna let you get back to your Thursday evening and totally appreciate your time. Thank you so much and wishing you
Yeah.
utmost success with the book and the rest of this year.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Thanks again.
Thank
Okay.
you.